Today I'm going to show you how I use one of the GR Pottery forms. If you've never used one, you should check them out. They're great. They're cut up of pieces of, I guess it's particle board, so they absorb, actually I don't know what they're made of exactly, but they absorb moisture and they're cut into all these great shapes. There's rounds and ovals and squares, and this particular one is an oval. And as you've probably seen in my other videos, if you've watched any of them, I like templates. So I was trying to figure out what was a good way to get a somewhat consistent shape that I would cut out with enough of a rim for what I like to do. So I put the form down on a piece of paper and I drew the oval shape, and then I cut a wider shape around it so that I had a bigger rim, if that makes sense, because I wanted more clay than just the actual shape there. And it's because I like to put texture on the feet and different things like that. So I'm going to show you how I do this, how I put the texture on, not the feet, I'm sorry, on the edges. Okay, so I'm going to take my form. I haven't made this into a template yet because I just, more permanent template yet, because I just came up with this a few days ago. So I'm going to go around the edge. Whoops. Whoop. Okay. And then I'm going to cut out the oval. And apparently I'm not doing this quite as well as I would like. Let's see. It'd be easier if I could turn this board as I cut it, but it's too big to do that. Okay. And if you have one of these, they have this like foot cutter that's way cool that you can get. Looks like a corn holder. And it works really well. So you just take it and you hold down the slab and you just create a line. Cut it. Okay, hopefully that'll be enough, because I don't go, you can do different things with these feet, but I'll show you what I do. So here we have our two feet strips that we're going to use later. I'm going to take this off. Now I've got my oval. So I'm going to take my finger, rub it across all the edges, and smooth out the edge, okay. Then I'm going to take one of my stamps, and of course I didn't have one handy for what I wanted to do. So let's see, it's not here. All right, hold on one moment while I get the stamp I was going to do this with. Okay, so it's a little flower stamp that I'm going to use today. So I'm going to take my stamp, and because this one's pretty narrow, I'm going to go almost to the edge, because what I want to do is kind of make this a little wavy by pressing the stamp down, and it'll push out a little bit, and it gives it a nice sort of wavy edge, which you probably can't see. So I'm going to go all the way around. I do a little push at the very edge, because as I said, I want to get that texture to move the edge of the plate out a little bit. Sorry, it's probably not all that interesting to watch me do this. And I was about to put the stamp back on there, probably not in the exact right spot, and that would have screwed it up. So try to pay better attention than I'm doing when you push the stamp down. If you want to know how I made this stamp and other ones like it, you can go to my video on making bisque stamps. Okay, so now, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little bit of a jaggedness to the edges. So I like that. Gives it a little bit of movement. All right, so now I need another board. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this on the board. Right, and then I'm going to place the oval, try to center it on there as best I can. And yeah, that looks pretty good. Let me get another board. Flip it over. Okay. And I just did this the other day, and I think it's kind of fun. I mean, it's already kind of sinking down into the shape of, into the piece. But I like what this does when I did this. I'm going to take my board, and I just dropped it. And there you go. And I can also see that it's not quite even, so I probably should have paid a little bit better attention before I did that. Let's see if I can just juggle it over a little to get it more even. All right, so there might be a little line. But I like what that does. Maybe it's just because it's fun. So now, one of the things that they have are these little square spacer things. Square spacers, and I have a couple of them. And I'm going to lift this up. Get my finger underneath there. Whoops. Careful not to mess it up. Put the little spacers down and place it onto the piece. Onto that. And then I'm just going to take my hands and push down a little more, because I made one the other day and I didn't push down enough, and it was like a flat plate when it was done. All right, so then just to enhance the line a little, I'll do that with a roller. Okay, next come the feet. So for the feet, we have these already made to help me. And what I like to do is I like to create like a little shape here and a little shape here and then a little center piece. So I'm going to cut two pieces. Oh, and guess what I smashed? Hopefully I have enough. Yeah, should be okay. All right, I'm going to cut two longer pieces. See, this is too long for what I want, right? Okay, so two longer pieces, which you can measure what you want, but I think this is probably good. And they are going to be the ends. And I'm going to take this and curve them for my ends. Place them down, get my two ends. Now, you could just take the whole thing and make a foot that goes all the way around. I just like to play around and have the bottom be a little different. And then I'm going to create two smaller pieces for the middle here. Okay. And you'll see I'm going to do something fun with it when I'm done. Okay, so now we have our, you can see that all right. Okay, now we have our two pieces. Sometimes it's easier to just hold it so you can see everything lining up correctly. All right. And as usual, we're going to slip and score. Where's my, I wonder what I did with my scoring rib. Oh, there it is. I see it. Okay. I'm going to take that. I'm going to take each side off. Score. And score. I'm pretty inconsistent with my slipping and scoring. Sometimes I slip, sometimes I score and then slip. It's just, I don't know. I guess it depends on my mood. Do a little scoring here. A little scoring here. This one opposite. And then this one. Okay, and I need my slip. So put slip down here. Okay, then we take these feet and we place them. And once you get them in place, I like to wiggle them a little to make sure they're secure. And I'm going to put these two down first at the same time so I can make sure I've lined everything up. As you can see, I am not so good about measuring, but there's a reason why for these. It's not as important because of the next step that I'm going to do. All right, so these look like they're all in the right spot. It's too much on the edge. No, it's okay. And then I'm going to take my stamp and I'm going to stamp right at the foot, just in a sort of little lean. I think that's kind of a fun little surprise when you turn the piece over. That little bit of something different. I'm going to take my, what do you call this? The rubber tip tool and just go along the edges. Make a nice seal. Okay. And you know, you can do a little cleanup later on too after it's dried some. Now this is pretty wet still. Oh, and one last important thing I don't want to forget. My own stamp. My name. And if you wanted to, you could do a little other stamping on here, but be careful because it will put texture through the other side. So now comes the drying part. And when it dries, what I like to do is take another board and place it on top of the piece. One, that helps you to make sure everything's level. And I have found I have a little bit less warping. And when it's, because sometimes these warp. And so when it's dry enough to flip over, I'll leave the form in the piece to hold it down also. And I feel like that's been better for me. I have less warpage than I had when I didn't do that. So here's, for example, a finished one. See, well, not finished completely, but bisque. So it's, I mean, greenware, but it has a tiny bit of a wobble, but not much. And I think it will settle down when it fires, hopefully. So there you go. So that's how I use the GR Pottery Form Oval to make this. Oh, and here, you want to see the foot? Here's the foot. Isn't that fun? Cool, huh? The oval dish. And, you know, you can use them for squares. You can use them for everything. Anyway, that's all for now, and I'll see you next time.